Let's go.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the FIDE Women's World Chess Championship match commentary hosted by us as well as Lichess. But we're way cooler, obviously. I'm Jessie February, and I'm joined by Tom's Kantāns Grandmaster as well as Grandmaster Rasmus Svane, who is our special guest for today. How are you doing, Rasmus?
Hi, I'm doing great. I'm very happy to join you guys. Also a bit exciting for me. First time I'm commentating on such a big stage, like a world championship match, and the match is getting really very interesting. Now that Drew is leading, Tan has also already been in the lead, so today will be a very exciting game for sure.
Indeed, we've had quite a few decisive games already. Toms, how are you, and what are your feelings for today?
Yeah, hello. I'm just as every day. I am very excited about to be here. As Rasmus stated, the match is super exciting in the sense that there's so many decisive games and there's a lead for one player, so there's a big incentive for other player to strike back with white pieces and especially today since they are gonna have change of location. This is the last round they play in Shanghai, and starting from game 7 they're gonna be moving cities, so we're gonna have 2 3 days after today. So I think that we can expect that players are not gonna be holding back. They will just give everything they have, and so perhaps we are expecting another 5 6 hour game here.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm interested because like probably it's a tough psychological situation for Tan at the moment. I mean, she was in the lead and then there was this big game 3 where she got ground down in this end game, and now suddenly Ju took the lead, which is very impressive. Like to make 2.5 out of 3 now, and okay, today she plays white. She would really like to strike back, but I think the most important will be not to lose. I mean, if she loses today, it could be really problematic.
And now, yeah, we're today joined by Rasmus, who is very way higher rated than both of us, than me and Jesse. So we can have some more professional opinion on the match performance and in general on the moves. We're gonna have to again, especially me, I'm gonna have to hold back with my opinions somewhat more. And so my question is, from your standpoint, how would you summarize both players' performance so far in the match?
Yeah, hard to say. In the beginning, I thought like Tan was the more okay. In the first few games, she was like the first game she made an easy draw. Second game, she somehow won this rook ending, and I thought she was doing very well. It also looked like the third game she should probably draw. Then she lost this, and the fourth game, somehow it's yeah. She was also pushing again, and she's also putting pressure on the clock. So I thought she might win this game. But then yesterday she just got a very bad position out of the opening and was just losing, and now lost. So she's trailing in the match. So yeah, Drew is just very solid and controlled, and I think it's quite impressive that she's leading the match. I mean, from the positions, Tan has maybe at just as many chances, but Drew is now leading, and yeah, it's a difficult situation for Tan.
And exactly how you mentioned the clock situation, this is something that the subject we're touching very much here in these broadcasts, because it's very different time management by both players in most of the games.
Mm-hmm.
And the general feeling was that in the first 2 games, the strategy of pushing on the time was working out. And now in the last 3 rounds, that Tan has made decisive mistakes every single time, somewhat because of playing too fast. Uh, do you think we are going to see some calmer approach today in this approach?
Not really, because I think it's just a normal way she's managing her time. I looked through some of her games from the candidates, and she's just a very fast player, and it's just a very double-edged style of handling your time. I mean, if you're playing well and you're in good form, it can be really dangerous. Like we also know this from the like a top player like Nepo. If he's on form, he can just crush everybody with this style to play so fast. But yeah, when you're maybe not in the very best form, it can also be very very double-edged, and then people can start saying, okay, you're taking some hasty decisions and making some mistakes. But yeah, I expect it to continue like this. I think Ju is not really playing slowly. I think Ju is handling her time quite normally, even not badly. She's not getting into huge time trouble as far as I've seen.
So it only
Yeah.
appears that Drew is playing slow because Tan is
Yeah.
playing so fast.
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
Yeah, when you're... Sorry.
yeah. No.
Go on. Sorry. It's fine.
No, I mean, like usually when I'm playing tournaments, it's very normal for people to be down to 20 minutes after 20 moves or something like this. I think Ju is even having more time than this, not getting into huge time trouble, but it just looks like you're in time trouble when the opponent is playing so fast.
So your preparation is just so good that you expect your opponent to go into time trouble. That is an amazing hat trick. I wish I was that good. So you mentioned that you were in the same, or right before we started the broadcast, that you're in the same team or you've played together in a team. Is that in a league or?
Yeah, that's
Sorry,
a Polish
you,
team.
Rasmus. Okay.
Polish extra league. Yeah.
Is that Polish league? Sorry.
Yeah, we're
what did you
playing for Gliwice. Like I played there for the first time last year, so we kind of know each other. From that, I mean, I've also seen Toms at other tournaments in Europe, of course. During the last few years, we don't live that far from each other. Okay, a few countries, but like when you're European grandmaster, you usually see each other at numerous tournaments.
Yeah, in Europe, everyone is just next door, right?
Yeah, you're a bit farther away. Yeah.
Only slightly.
I don't know if we've ever met in person. Probably we've been at some tournament, like Olympiad at the same time. But
Possibly. Yeah,
I
were you
don't
at the
know.
previous Olympiad?
I was there as a second, so I didn't. Oh, maybe you were at the Bermuda party. There we
Maybe.
might have been in the same room.
Actually, that's where I crossed paths with Anna and Tom's for the
Ah.
first time. I mean, it was very, very brief, and I was just like, hi, because I recognized Anna because she streams. And yeah, that was just an incredible thing for me because I didn't expect to see you guys at all. So that was really, really cool. Yeah, but even though the chess world is a small world, there's usually a lot of players at the Olympiad.
Yes.
So I'm sure we did cross paths at least once, of course. When was the last time that you competed?
That's not far since I played at the European Championship. It's like 2 weeks ago in Romania.
Wow, how did it go?
Yeah, I finished 33rd. I made like -2 rating points. I mean, I was seeded 30th. Like there are always so many 2600 grandmasters at the European Championship, so it was kind of a normal performance, but nothing too special either. It was more special for 2 other German players, like Matthias Blübaum and Frederik Svane, my little brother actually.
Oh,
They finished in first and second, so that was quite historic for Germany.
incredible. So you come from a chess family, or is it just the two of you who play?
Yeah, it was kind of me who brought it into the family. Like Frederik is younger than me, a bit by coincidence, but yeah, now basically all my family members know and have played in tournaments, but actively playing in tournaments it's only me and my little brother. My other families members, my other little brother is like 1700, and yeah, my parents play at like 1200, and my other brother also 1200. Yeah.
Oh, it's not bad. Accidentally? Did you just like one day look up and saw the chessboard on the ceiling, or?
No, it was kind of. I found some. It was kind of like this.
Wait,
We
what?
were eating cereals for breakfast always, and then it's one cereal package. There was some kind of chess computer, Lego computer game, which I then started playing as a small kid. And yeah, and then I was playing against this, and there was like hundreds different levels of computer resistance that I tried to level up against, and that's how I kind of got into chess. And then my little brother, he was watching me with my coach later. He's 7 years younger. Yeah, that's how I got into it. Yeah.
Goodness me. I should go to Europe and buy a box of cereal, guys. Maybe I'll find a computer
Exactly.
inside of there too. They are really expensive these days.
No, it was a computer game. Yeah,
Oh, it was a computer game.
yeah.
Well, that sounds incredible. Wow. Do you have a similar story, or is a sort of a cool story about how you started playing chess, Toms?
Oh, no, mine is relatively standard one. My grandpa taught me simply because I was visiting, especially in the summertime, a lot the countryside where my grandparents were living, and my grandpa was looking for somebody to play some games with, so he was teaching me some strategy card games, and also at the same time, once I was able to grasp chess, he was also just started to teach me chess, just so that he would have somebody to play with.
Oh,
And, yeah, and then
Actually,
this,
yeah.
yeah,
After
but
I learned chess, I also played a lot with my grandpa.
yeah, just on this, still, I just adding that. Unfortunately for him, though, that this time when we could play together quickly passed because he was not like very strong player. He was decent. Probably could say now, I don't know, 14, 1500, like he could get Elo. But yeah, that's quickly got passed, unfortunately for him, and he was not anymore interested to play with me since the games were too one-sided.
all right. Yeah, I realize that your opponent will just stop wanting to play with you if they're losing constantly. Yeah.
Hmm.
So sometimes
How
you have to
about
give them
you,
a game or
Jesse?
two. Oh, yeah, mine is really not that exciting. I was a very uh, active and busy child, and my mom just wanted me to sit down and do something rather than just run around and annoy her constantly. So there was a chessboard in our house. She taught me how to play,
Hmm.
and jokes on her, I enjoyed it more than I expected, or more than she expected. And then I started playing chess in school, and yeah, my mum learned just by watching chess on television because they used to have these matches on South
Mm.
African television where you could call in and suggest moves and stuff like that, which was really cool.
Oh, that sounds cool.
Well, it's so interesting. I never heard of that.
Yeah. Oh, I do have good news for both of you. We
Yeah.
have a board. Finally, we have a board.
So yeah, as expected, she played c4 again. Um, but this time knight f6, knight f3.
Yeah, so C4. It seems like both players have their weapon prepared for the match, and they are just sticking with it, right? Like Jun and Jun prepared E4 for the match, and Tanjung Yi prepared C4 as the opening for the match, and so far, it's just working out for them. Uh, should we take a look at the opening moves? What happened there?
Hmm.
And so this time she opted for not e6. Like the first game was, I think, with e5. The second was with, I think, with e6, and now it's knight f6. So a little bit changing things up, and we don't see the knight c3 move, but the b3 setup, d5, just developing pieces, putting the bishop on the long diagonal, and black is fighting for the center, kind of trying to punish white for not doing anything in the center. So doing those extra pawn moves just to take some more space and more control. And this seems to be the preparation by both players, playing very, very quickly. And now she's choosing doubled fianchetto setup here. Rasmus,
Yeah.
are you familiar with this position?
Yes,
Like,
yes.
fine?
I've actually played this with black. I was, yeah, I was not that familiar with this move order before, but then I had to play against Vincent Keimer in the German Championships 2022. He's quite strong and he likes these c4, knight f3, e3, like delaying d4 setups. And he had this move order with b3. So the idea is, yeah, just to get d4 in the next move, but the only thing that you allow is for black to play d4 themselves. So that's kind of a bit unstandard. But after d4, now black is trying, white will try to play e3 and e takes d4 and try to show that this pawn is weak and not really just limiting the bishop on b2.
So the plan would be here to try to open up the bishop or to put the pressure on the d pawn, like the long-term plan for white.
Yeah, I think at some point e3, e takes d4, and then trying to exchange some pieces sometimes and trying to argue that the pawn on d4 is weak. Sometimes the bishop on g2 can also be very strong. Kind of this diagonal got opened a bit by d4.
So now after castle, bishop e7, assume those are standard moves, knight a3, castle. So this should be still in the books for both players. Is that safe to assume?
I think I'm not exactly sure with the move orders, but I think I had this position against Keimer. Like black's play is very normal. I think there's a decision if you play bishop d6 or bishop e7, but yeah, bishop e7 is also very solid. And now I guess white will try to play e3. He takes d4, knight c4, knight e5 is always an idea. Also rook e1.
Could we show these moves on the board? I'm more of a visual learner.
Do we start with knight c4? Do we start with e3 immediately? What would be the way?
I don't know, actually. I think both moves. Probably e3 would be my guess, but.
So on e3, and in case, just for the show audience, like if we take on e3, then this endgame is, thanks to the bishop on g2, supposed to be somewhat better for white, I assume.
Yeah,
So
I kind of had such a position actually at the Polish league. We were talking about that. Yeah, these endgames are very good because the bishop on g2 is very strong and b7 is a long-term weakness.
So we played something like this, and then we try to get knight e5 and open up this bishop. And maybe the other one is also going to join in the center a bit later, just cutting off any defensive possibilities against the queenside pawns. And so because of that, black, I guess, don't take on d4, but on e3 they played something like...
I think I played bishop e6, or bishop g4 should also be a normal move.
And bishop e6, and then on ed we take cd, and we are... Do we allow pawn to come to d3, or should we block it?
I would play d3 here.
I think we should allow it actually. It might get weak. I think the usual plan is here to play some rook e1, knight c4, knight e5 ideas.
Not knight c2, attacking it?
Yeah, sometimes knight c2 could also be an idea, but after knight c2, bishop c5 is maybe a move sometimes.
I would really like my knight to stand on d3 here in front of the pawn, but I assume that's not too easy to do. Yeah, so
Could you
rook
be
c1, rook
cheeky
e1.
and play something like knight to e1 here?
Knight to e1. Or the other knight.
Right.
Or this one.
Yeah, if you get your knight to f4, that's quite nice, but on d3, I don't know.
Queen b1.
I'm not too worried about this knight on d3 if I just play bishop d6 sometimes. I don't know what black should play here. Maybe h6 or queen b6 or something like that.
Okay, so just such a strategical waiting game, and best
Yeah,
case scenario, we take the d pawn from the white side, and then just try to win it somehow with an extra pawn.
yeah, but if you win this pawn, sometimes you have to be a bit careful. There's some activity along the d file and so on. So, yeah, I think that's why the main plan for white should be this knight c4, knight e5, to try to exchange some pieces, and then, like, if you exchange this knight on c6, the pawn on d4 will also become a bit more weak. And if some pieces are exchanged, then if you take it, then there's not that much activity to worry about. So, yeah, I think, like, in this position, white has a bit space disadvantage. That's maybe also a reason why you're trying to go for some exchanges, I guess.
It's funny that you say that white has the space advantage.
Space disadvantage.
Oh, disadvantage. Yeah. Okay, that makes more sense,
Yeah.
because I was like, wow, is this an exception to the rule that I haven't learned yet? I'm unlocking next level of chess. This is great. Wow.
We do have e3 on the board.
E3
And what I do like to check is sometimes in the beginning of the game, not using any engine analysis, but just to check more or less how common or not common the lines are. And it seems that knight c4 instead of e3 was the main line. And including your game against Keimer is also with knight c4.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
We should actually pull that game up.
I tried to forget this game as good as I could. So
Never mind,
I
we
wasn't
will not.
sure. Like in this game, I prepared a little bit. I blitzed out like 18 moves of theory. Of course, you knew like 1-2 moves more, and then I immediately made some mistake. I was basically strategically lost. So yeah, this variation is tricky.
Okay, so even though they both are playing confidently, that means that black still could get in trouble, even some few moves later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
for me personally, always these kind of structures are super confusing when we play with white, giving up so much space, and then still we're trying to claim advantage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a bit a very modern approach, or I don't know modern. It's like there was this hyper modern revolution with the Reti. I mean, it's also 100 years ago. Since then they sometimes play like this. It's just all these openings where you don't fight for the center immediately, but try to counter attack. It's kind of like playing with the black pieces with the tempo sometimes.
So it's the vintage modern then.
Yeah. I was a bit surprised by the opening moves. Like she played c4, knight f6, and then knight f3 today. I'm a bit trying to understand. But the last game was c4, e6, knight c3.
Yes.
Because I think the main point why she's playing c4 all the time is to avoid the nimzo. Because Ju and Jun's main repertoire against 1d4 is like the nimzo, and she also plays Karlsbad, like Queen's Gambit d5, e6, that you kind of allow with 1c4, but yeah, the nimzo, it's not so easy to find ideas. But yeah, today she's going for some sidelines. Yeah.
What do you think is the reasoning that both players are very convincingly d4 players, 1d4 they're playing, and their normal repertoire as the main opening, and here in the match both of them are preparing something else as the main opening? Do you think that d4 is just too common, too familiar, and too easy?
Yeah, I think on the top level it's just there are many solid openings, like after d4, knight f6, c4, e6.
So that's basically this position.
Yes, exactly. And now d5. I think both players actually have this in the repertoire for black. And
Yeah.
now after knight c3, there are so many very solid moves that are very, very difficult to find ideas against. I think Ju and June is also playing this line c5, c takes d5, c takes d4, which is very solid. Ragozin is very solid, Queen's Gambit. It's not so easy to find ideas here, and both players will prepare this for the match to have some solid setups. Also against the Catalan, there are also very many solid lines, so it's kind of not so stupid to go for some more sideline stuff to try to surprise the opponents more. And yeah, if you would be able to have some idea in the Nimzo, then it's always good, because you can kind of always get it, and you know what the opponent is playing. But the Nimzo, it's very, very difficult to find ideas. All the interesting tries have already been played usually.
Mhm. So it's just about trying to play chess as early on in the game as possible, really.
Yeah, trying to surprise the opponent, knowing the position a bit more. It's difficult to expect to get a really significant opening advantage. If you get something that you're a bit more comfortable than the opponent and have some time advantage, it's already kind of a success, I guess.
So here, do you think Ju and Jun is still strictly in the book? Because just, yeah, since I did take a look at the opening tree, and the moves were bishop f5 and bishop g4 as the two main moves, and d takes e3 has been played only in a couple of games at all. Could it be that it's already white can be claiming advantage? Is that the reasoning, or it's too early for that?
I think if black is playing precisely, it should not be such a big deal here, but I think it should already be a bit pleasant for white. Very easy moves like queen e2, rook d1, knight c4, knight e5. And black is kind of having some issues on the diagonal. And I mean, she already thought like for a few minutes after e3, so I guess she's not that familiar. Maybe she's also trying to take ton out of book with d takes e3. I don't know.
I was trying to find ways in order for white to sort of sidestep the d file and bring the rook in, but I can't seem to find a square that's really good. Well, I know it's black to move here, but let's say bishop to g4 here. Would white try to move the queen away and bring the rook to d1 perhaps?
Yeah, that's an idea. I mean, h3. Okay, it's always a question if you want to include this h3 move or not. I guess after h3, bishop h5, if you want to play queen c2, bishop g6 can be more annoying. Otherwise, I think also knight c4 here should be a move. But yeah, queen e2, rook d1 also. It's of course always a question if you want to allow the endgame, but yeah, usually when you exchange the queens and you get some quick knight e5, knight fe5, this pawn on b7 can really be a problem.
And
Yeah,
who
the
do you think
endgames.
prefers to play with the queens here? Like black or white? Like who rather wants to play queen c7 or queen c2 more?
It's kind of a player, kind of a waiting game. I think you don't really want to play queen takes d8 because you're kind of losing your tempo because rook fd8 is coming and you immediately have your rook on the open file. But black also doesn't want to take on d1 too fast because white also gets the tempo. But
so even
yeah,
though
in
the
general,
queens are
in general, it's not so
attacked,
clear.
they're gonna go here and here most likely, yeah.
I was trying to find ways to avoid knight to b4, but I guess it's not that much to worry about because queen c3? I like queen c3. Queen c7, queen c2, knight b4.
Yeah, knight b4 is a bit annoying. But okay, you can go to e2 after that.
Yeah, if they do trade queens, that's where all the magic has been happening in the endgames for the players so far. And I've seen quite a pattern as well with the openings that you mentioned. Both players are quite, avid d4 players, yet we've seen the Sicilian Khan and the English, when both players are playing with white, they have their own, but they've been repeating openings, right? I believe.
Yeah, they're sticking to their ideas. And we're getting fresh positions, I think every game,
Mhm.
like between like move 10, 15 is the maximum, but very often we are already much earlier getting completely new positions that have not been played before. So that makes it also just interesting more, and because players have to solve problems by the board, they cannot just do simple things like in game one, uh, where there was this line Sicilian, which Tan Zhongyi knew very well, so she could just with ease make a draw immediately just by knowing which pawn structure to play and just by having 1 hour on clock, and she was just fine. But all the remaining games, both players are having to solve things by the board.
Mhm. So I'm also checking the database. It seems like there's only one game in the master games after bishop to f5 between Duda and Anand in 2013, where black emerged victorious here. And the move that was made was knight to c4.
Yeah, but after knight c4, we do actually transpose to the same position that would arise from the line, which was much more popular one. So instead of e3, we played knight c4, I think, and then on bishop f5, something like, or with in some other move order, I think, yeah. Because after we reach this position, there are, this is not anymore anything new. So I think that what the question now is for Tan is if there's anything else than knight c4, then to transpose to the same kind of line, or yeah, she just go with it.
I was also looking back at bishop to g4, knight c4. I know that I shouldn't be considering moves like this because of how weak the diagonal is, but is b5 an option?
Yeah, the problem might be if you take on d8 and then knight e5.
I see.
Because then you don't get this issue with the pin.
Mhm.
So just to show here, and now
Yeah, knight
one of the
c5.
knights to e5,
Oh, knight fe5 maybe.
or maybe there's no difference. So one of the knights to e5, probably we see exchanges, and now the knight is coming to c6, or we're guaranteed to get two bishops, a bishop pair, active endgame, open endgame.
Yeah, and then the pawns might be weak on the queen side. Should be very pleasant for white.
I was just letting my invasive thoughts win, but I'm really glad that that has an answer now. Yeah, I was very concerned about the pin, but completely forgot that there's the intermediate move of taking the queen first. So yeah, b5 back and bishop f4. Wait.
Yeah,
But
so I think
on those
the
ideas.
idea. Oh, yeah.
Sorry. I just want to take on d1 and then play b5. So I just was trying to make just this idea work. But it's probably a bit too much.
No, I mean b5 is a very logical move. If you get to play it, kick the knight away. If it needs to go to d2, you kind of just got an active move for free. It's not stupid. So I wanted to say that the idea of bishop f5 is probably just to go bishop e4 and to neutralize this bishop on g2. Yeah, because that's the main asset of white. If you get to play knight e5 unchallenged, have this bishop on g2, just putting pressure on the queen side, it's so